Hi everyone, Animal Girl here, back with another of my top favorite countdowns. The ladies had their turn in the last video, and now it's time for the guys as I count down my top 10 favorite men of Star Wars. Okay, Star Wars is a space fantasy odyssey adventure film with lots of wonderful characters, and they are predominantly all guys, so there were a lot to choose from for this list. Now, before I get started, I would like to say that every single one of the gentlemen on this list, from 10 to 1, actually did make my top 20 favorite Star Wars characters list. Okay, so let's get started. Number 10 is Lando Calrissian. I really liked Lando in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and I look forward to seeing him in The Last Jedi and Episode 9 and the upcoming Han Solo movie, if they decide to put Lando in there, which I'm sure they will, because they may use this movie to explain how Han got the Millennium Falcon. I also liked him in the one Rebels episode he was in, Idiots Array. I felt they did a very good job de-aging him to where he looked like the Lando from The Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith, but he still looked younger than he was supposed to be in those two movies, which is not all that surprising, as the first season of Rebels, which is the season that he was in, takes place 4 years before A New Hope, or Star Wars, the first movie, which takes place 3 years before The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Another thing that got Lando on this list was his personality. He has this very charismatic personality. We saw it in The Empire Strikes Back when he was flirting with Leia, although I'm pretty sure he did that to kind of make Han a little jealous. We also see it in Idiots Array, where he is flirting with the two predominant female characters in that series, that being those two characters being Hera Syndulla and Sabine Wren. Hera kind of brushed it off. I think she kind of knew what he was all about, but was like, okay, you know what, we need this job for the money, so I'm going to put up with you. Sabine, being 16, I think she either didn't really know what was going on, or she was stringing him along a little bit. Either way, it kind of got the same reaction that it did from Han in Empire Strikes Back, as it made Kanan and Ezra, who are, for a lack of a better word, Hera and Sabine's significant others, a little jealous. Okay, number 9 is Lux Bonteri. Lux is, as of the posting of this video, primarily a Clone Wars character. We do not see him in Rebels, or we have not, up to this point, seen him in Rebels. And he has not appeared in any of the movies as far as I know. He kind of comes on the scene and as the son of a senator, and he then later becomes the senator of his planet, and he is Ahsoka's love interest in Clone Wars. And it was very much kind of a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing, where to start off with, because they were on opposite sides of the war. Ahsoka, being a Jedi, was on the side of the Republic, and Lux and his mom were on the side of the Separatists. But still, I mean, I did like him. I really hope to see him in season 4 of Rebels, and I am really hoping to see him in, hopefully, The Last Jedi in Episode 9, if at all possible. If not, That's okay. I just, we last leave him on his home planet of Onderon when he becomes a senator. So I would just like to see, primarily in Rebels, where he is at this point in the timeline. I mean, I'm pretty sure because of his relationship with Ahsoka, he probably isn't a huge supporter of the Empire. He may be like Mothman and Bail Organa, where he is serving in the Senate, but he doesn't really support a lot of what the Empire is doing, and maybe he is funneling information to the rebels. I mean, who knows? He could have been one of Ahsoka's contacts in the Senate. We don't know. I would really like to see where he is at this point, but that's up to Lucasfilm on that. Okay, number 8 is Chewbacca. I really liked Chewbacca from the time I saw him in A New Hope, aka Star Wars. I was really excited when we saw him in Revenge of the Sith, and I look forward to seeing him in Episode 9 and in The Last Jedi. I really liked it when we saw him in the Clone Wars episode Wookiee Hunt. I thought it was really neat that they brought him in on that. And I look forward to seeing him in the Han Solo movie, or upcoming Han Solo movie. Again, like Lando, he is a character that they would more than likely put in Han's movie, because he does play a big role in Han's life, as he is basically Han's best friend. And it will also, much like if they put Lando in that movie to explain how Han got the Falcon, putting Chewie in the movie would explain how those two kind of got together. And I would love to see him in Rebels also. Maybe see where he and Han are at this point in the movie, although based on where, or in the time frame, although based on where they are in the movie timeline when the movie comes along, I can probably guess where they are. But I just think it would be neat to see him in this movie, or in Rebels again. But again, that's up to Lucasfilm. Okay, number 7 is Luke Skywalker. Luke is definitely a character that I think most people would say is among their top favorite characters. He was one of the first 2 Jedi I was exposed to when I first started watching Star Wars, Obi-Wan being the other one. I do not count Vader among them, as he was a Sith at the time. But again, I really do like him. Looking forward to seeing him in The Last Jedi and Episode 9. Was a little disappointed that he didn't have much of a role in The Force Awakens, although I think they were trying to set up the new characters a little bit more. Rey, Poe, and Finn, and BB, of course, and Kylo Ren. So I do look forward to seeing where he is now within Return of the Jedi. Or not Return of the Jedi, within the Star Wars universe in The Last Jedi, excuse me. And I was a little disappointed in season 3 of Rebels when they had Ezra go to Tatooine to find Obi-Wan. I was really hoping for some kind of interaction between Ezra and Luke, because Ezra did Ezra and the Ghost Crew had an interaction with Leia, so I was like, oh yeah, well, he's got to have an interaction with Luke, because he already had an interaction with his sister, but it didn't happen. I was a little disappointed on that, but, that was, Lucasfilm's decision. Okay, number 6 is Han Solo. Han is definitely one of my favorite characters in Rebels. I think or in the Star Wars franchise, I think he actually made the top 10. Actually, I can tell you right now, he did make the top 10 of my top 20 favorite Star Wars characters list, and I was really excited to see him in The Force Awakens, and I'm really looking forward to the Han Solo movie. A little disappointed that we won't be seeing him from this point on in the franchise, in The Last Jedi or in Episode 9, but that was, I believe, Harrison Ford's choice, not Lucasfilm's choice. Again, like with Chewie, I'm really hoping to see him in at least one episode of Rebels. My big hope for how Rebels will end, it's going to end probably either right where Rogue One picks up or right where A New Hope picks up. But my hope is with how Rebels ends is with Han and Chewie and Luke and Leia and 3PO and R2 coming to Yavin where they come to Yavin in A New Hope. I just think that would be a perfect way to end the Rebels series. And then, we'll see the 3 big heroes from the original trilogy coming into Rebels and basically closing out Rebels. I think that would be really cool. But again, that is Lucasfilm's decision. Okay, number 5 is Commander Cody. Now, Commander Cody is a clone. He actually made my top 10 favorite clones list, along with another clone, who will be coming up next. Cody, I really liked Cody. He was one of the clones we had a lot of exposure to in the Clone Wars TV show. He lost some points in Revenge of the Sith when he participated in Order 66 and attempted to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi. But other than that, that's really his only black mark. Other than that, I really did like him. But it was that one action that actually got him to be number 5 on this list. Otherwise, he would have been sharing the number 4 spot with the next character. And that character is Captain Rex. I really liked Rex. Like Cody, he was a character that we saw a lot of in the Clone Wars. He was one of the few clones we saw a lot of in the Clone Wars. And I was really excited when they brought him back into season 2 of Rebels. He's just a really great character, and there are some rumors going around online that he is the old soldier we see on Endor in Return of the Jedi. I don't know if it's true or not, but it is an interesting theory. The main reason why Captain Rex kind of is above Cody by one step, and it's just one tiny little step, is because Cody did participate in Order 66 and Rex did not. Other than that, they're very equally tied. Everything I love about one, I love about the other. I love both of their personalities. They have different personalities, which a lot of people would say that it's really hard for a clone to do, but you notice it in Clone Wars. Cody has very much a personality like Obi-Wan, which makes sense because Obi-Wan was the general of the unit Cody was the commander of. And Rex has a personality that's very much a blend of Anakin and Ahsoka's, which makes sense again because he was the captain of the unit, the 501st Legion, which Anakin was the general of and Ahsoka was the commander of. So he spent a lot of time with them, and their personalities just kind of rubbed off on him. Again, great character. Everything I like about Rex, I like about Cody. There was just that one black mark for Cody that kind of elevated Rex up to above him. And again, it was very slight. Okay, moving on. Number 3 is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan was probably my favorite character up until the TV shows came out. So he was my favorite character for a long, long time. I really did like him. He ranks very high on my favorite Jedi list. And he's made a couple of other lists as well. made the top 10 of my top 20 favorite characters list. And I really liked how we see him go, if you start watching from The Phantom Menace up until The Return of the Jedi, and we throw the Clone Wars TV show in there, we really see him go from being a Padawan with so much to learn to this wise teacher who teaches not one but two students, because he does teach Luke as well, and he taught Anakin, and he kind of taught Ahsoka as well. And so I really like that. I liked when they brought him into Rebels, even though it was only for one episode. I really felt that they did a wonderful job with that, and it kind of closed the door on something that had been brewing since The Phantom Menace, and I don't want to get into it in case you haven't seen season 3 of Rebels just yet. And I really look forward to the Obi-Wan movie that is rumored to be coming out. I want it to be one of two things. I either want it to be about Obi-Wan's time on Tatooine, in which they could use Star Wars Legend book Kenobi by John Miller, but I don't think there's really much of a story there unless they go by the Kenobi book. Or I want it to be a prequel, maybe focusing on the year Obi-Wan spent on Mandalore, and kind of delve into his relationship with Satine. But again, that's Lucasfilm's decision. Those are kind of what my hopes are for the movie. One of those two things, because I just feel there's more they can do with both of those, although the latter one they can probably do more with, as I really don't think there's really much of a story about his time on Tatooine. But it would give them a chance to kind of bring Ezra into a live action movie, if they choose to go that route. But anyways, moving on. Number 2 is Ezra Bridger. Ezra is, as of this point, exclusively a Rebels character. I am hoping to see him in Episode 9 and The Last Jedi. I think it would be very interesting to see this character, who up to this point has been primarily an animated character, go from an animated character to a live action character, and see what they do there, and also kind of see if he did survive the rebellion against the Empire, and if he did, where he is at this point. But again, that's Lucasfilm's decision. One of the things I like about Ezra is he comes from this point where he wasn't trusting anyone. He lost his parents when he was very young, about 7, I believe, and he was on the streets of Lothal, his home planet, until he was 14, almost 15, when he was discovered by the Ghost Crew, and he's Force sensitive, so he is a Jedi in training. And he goes from not trusting anyone to really trusting the Ghost Crew. Kanan, Hera, Zeb, Chopper, Sabine. Actually, he does a little bit more than trust Sabine. He's kind of got a little bit of a crush on her. And he goes from knowing nothing about his Force sensitivity to being able to use it fairly well in the short amount of time he's had in training with it and whatnot. So I do like him. He is one of the few characters we actually see mature. There are really only 2 other characters we see in the whole series that actually mature from a kid to an adult, or very close to an adult, and the other 2 are Sabine Wren and Ahsoka Tano. I don't count Anakin in that, because we see him at 9 years old, but then we skip 10 years and he's 19. So we really don't see that maturing level with him as we do with Ezra and Sabine and Ahsoka. But again, I really like Ezra. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him in future episodes of Rebels. Hoping to see him in The Last Jedi in Episode 9, if at all possible. But that all depends on Lucasfilm and whether or not they want him to survive at that point or not. I'm hoping they do, and I'm hoping he doesn't go dark. I'm hoping he either becomes a Jedi or a Grey Jedi, but again, that's up to Lucasfilm. Okay, before we move on to my number one favorite Star Wars guy, I just want to do some honorable mentions. These are gentlemen who I do like. They just didn't rank high enough to make it on the list. And those characters are Hondo Ohnaka, Finn, Poe, Kit Fisto, Plo Koon, Yoda, and Zeb. Okay, and my number one favorite guy of Star Wars is Kanan Jarrus. Kanan is exclusively a Rebels character, like Ezra. Or at least to this point. I am really hoping to see him in The Last Jedi and Episode 9, if he survives to that point. I think it'd be very interesting. I know some of you are thinking, well, Yoda said in Return of the Jedi, excuse me, I blanked on the title, that when he died, the last of the Jedi Luke would be. But, who's to say that he didn't hold something back? I mean, they knew, Obi-Wan and Yoda knew that when Luke was going to go up against Vader, that it was going to be a difficult fight. So who's to say that they didn't hold back something just in case Luke turned or Vader mind probed him or, whatever they do to get inside the head of somebody. And they withheld this information from him. And when he defeated, when the Empire was defeated, we know that they visited him on Endor. We see them with Anakin at the party of the Force Ghosts kind of off to the side. Who's to say that that wasn't just to let Luke know that his father was okay now and he had become one with the Force. But they also had a message for him, and Luke managed to get away from everyone from the party after the credits ended, and they said to him, oh, by the way, there are 2 other humans and possibly a female Taruga out there who are Force sensitive, and you need to go and find them because they'll help you rebuild the Order. That's kind of what I'm hoping. And I know some of you are saying, well, wait a minute, Ahsoka hasn't been seen for a whole season. They may bring her back. They have not yet closed the door on what happened to her. There are still questions about that. But I don't want to get into the girls. This is on the guys. Kanan, what made him get this spot was that he went through so much, even before Rebels. He had a very difficult life pre-Rebels. Post-Clone Wars and pre-Rebels. He lost his master. She died protecting him. He was at a very young age, even before the movie started, except for Phantom Menace, was taken away from his family. So he doesn't know who's out there, family-wise, blood family-wise. He doesn't know if he has any brothers or sisters or cousins or nieces or nephews out there. And he went through a really dark time. He didn't use the Force for countless years, basically since Order 66 until 15 years later, until Ezra came into his life. He used it fleetingly. It was more of a subconscious thing. He didn't actively use it until Ezra came into his life. Is when he actually started using it again because he was training Ezra. And he really went through some dark times. Up until he met Hera, I want to say 4 or 6 years before Rebels starts. And she basically, I don't want to say she pulled him out of this dark place, but she gave him a reason to pull himself out of this dark place. He worked with her on and off in A New Dawn, and then decides to kind of stay with her, either because he liked working with her or he really liked her, or some combination of the two. And that really gave him the strength to pull himself out of this dark place he was in. And then he gets hit with another blow several years later when he loses his sight to Maul. And he goes through a depression phase for about 6 months, and then he pulls himself out of it again. And he learns to work with his blindness, not let that define who he is. Accepted the fact that there are things he can't do. He can't pilot. He can't really lead the missions as much as he used to. And he turns all that over to Ezra and gives him some more responsibility. So I really did like that. And that's why he made the number one slot in this list, is because everything he went through, he let it get him down just for like a small period of time, and then he found a way to pull himself out of where he was, the darkness he was in, and make it work for him. And he just did it in such an amazing way. He teaches Ezra not only how to be a Jedi, but how to be the kind of person he is. He cares about the rest of the crew, and whatnot, and he is willing to sacrifice himself for his family and his friends. We've seen that on numerous occasions. Okay, feel free to check out my other top favorite videos. Please note that I do take requests, so if you have any, leave them in the comment section. Also, feel free to leave your comments and questions in the comment section. I do love to read those. And please like and subscribe, and feel free to follow me on Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter, and DeviantArt. I have my names for those 4 sites, right there on the screen, as well as the pictures I use for the icons. Please note that all pictures seen within this video belong to their respective artists. I own absolutely nothing. Okay, also feel free to check out my top favorite special edition videos. Also feel free to check out my other videos. Hey, quick reminder of my comment rules. Okay, and before I sign off, two things I'd like to touch on. First off, please note that my Movie Talk Birthday Special Edition video on The Lion King and my Movie Talk videos on Van Helsing, Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunters, and Spooky Buddies are exclusively on my Facebook page. I will do remakes or re-uploads of these videos. However, they will not be posted until October. Reason being, The Lion King is a birthday special edition video, so it only makes sense to post it on my birthday, or to re-upload it on my birthday. So that one will be re-uploaded on this coming October 6th. as for Van Helsing, Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunters, and Spooky Buddies, they are Hansel and Gretel and Van Helsing are Halloween-esh movies, and Spooky Buddies is a Halloween movie, so it only makes sense to do re-uploads of those in October. Also, even though it's not posted here, the book talk video on Ever After The School for Good and Evil, Book 3, The Last Ever After, is also exclusively on my Facebook page. I am doing a re-upload of that one, and it should be posted Thursday, Saturday at the very latest. So until then, you can check those four movie talk videos and that book talk video on my Facebook page. I will have the link in the description section. Also, due to the fact that it is considered spam, TV Talk is now exclusively on my Facebook page. If you want to check out those videos, feel free to check them out on my Facebook page. Again, the link will be in the description section. And to make it a little easier on you guys, here is a list of the TV shows I've either done TV Talk videos on or am currently doing TV Talk videos on. And some of these are on YouTube, but a good portion of them are on Facebook. Okay, as always, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.